Hi everyone, Janie here. Welcome back to my garden and welcome to a Show Me Your Gardens Zone 5. So this is Show Me Your Gardens 2.0. I did another series like this last fall where we went through each USDA zone, zones 3 through zones 10, and we just took a look at all your beautiful gardens in each gardening zone for inspiration, not only for those of us in your same garden, but those of us who are not in your gardens, looking kind of like peeking over the fence or getting a little sneak peek at other gardens. I am having so much fun seeing all your gardens, especially as we get down into the lower gardens. It's just so different than my garden, my Zone 9 garden. So it's so fun to watch. I will link the Show Me Your Gardens, the first season, the first round, in the description down below if you want to check those out. But for today, we have some beautiful Zone 5 gardens. We have some from Iowa, from New Hampshire, from New York, and from Illinois, and they are just absolutely beautiful, and they're so interesting. It's so interesting to hear from you all what works in your zone, what doesn't work in your zone, what you wish that you could grow in your zone, you know, what I wish I could grow that you're growing beautifully in your zone. It's just really, really fun to see. So we are going to start off in New Hampshire. We're going to go visit Vita's garden. Vita is a budget gardener, which I think is so admirable. It's so fun to see what she does to keep the cost down in the garden, and she still has an absolute gorgeous, gorgeous garden. So let's head to New Hampshire and check out Vita's garden.
Hey, Janie, thank you for letting us share our gardens with you. I really do appreciate it. My name is Vita. I garden in New Hampshire, Zone 5B, and even though I've been gardening for 30 years, there is always so much to learn. What I tell everyone is that gardening is truly therapy for my soul. One thing that I take a lot of pride in is gardening on a budget. I like to start a lot of my plants from seed, and I grow them indoors under my LED shop lights. I also love propagating plants through division. It's a great way to basically shop your own yard. And I also really enjoy collecting seeds from my own plants. It's just so much fun, and there's really so many plants that you can collect the seeds from. Where I live, there is a lot of shade, but there are small pockets of sun, so I really try hard to take advantage of those pockets of sun where I have it in my yard. And I'm always testing the limits when it comes to plants to see what thrives in different sun and shade conditions. This is my second year having a backyard plant nursery, and let me tell you, it's been a lot of fun meeting all sorts of other gardeners. And what I really enjoy is not only just sharing pieces of my garden with them, I also love hearing about their garden spaces and being able to give feedback or information on different things they can try in their garden spaces. In the springtime, I have a ton of daffodils that bloom, and they just look so beautiful. And just like all my other plants, I love dividing and moving all my spring bulbs just to maximize the number of bulbs I have. Plus, as we know, every 3 to 4 years, plants benefit from being divided. So why not divide and move them around your landscape? Another thing I really enjoy on the south side of my house is my dianthus hedge or my dianthus border that I have flanking the front of one of my flower beds. It looks so pretty in the spring months. And then after it's gone by, I just cut back the foliage, and it's just a nice evergreen interest at the front of that bed. I've collected a ton of peonies over the years. Some came from my parents' house where I grew up, and some also came from my in-laws' home. So those peonies are very special to me. On the west side of my house, I have a water feature, which I really truly enjoy. And I have a bunch of mini hosta all around that small pond that we put in a number of years ago near my side porch. Also on the west side of my house are a bunch of daylilies that bloom towards the end of spring, early summer months. And they look so pretty. And I really have taken advantage of dividing those plants over the years and just moving the daylilies all around my yard because I really like that yellow color. On the east side of my house is where I have my hosta garden. And even though I have hosta in a number of places in my yard, I call this one spot my hosta garden because it's jam-packed with hosta. And we put drip irrigation in that bed last year, and boy, let me tell you what a difference it makes to have the drip going directly to each of those hosta plants. On the north side of my house is what I call my rose garden. It's where my children used to have an above-ground pool, and when we got rid of the pool, we needed to put something else in that space. So I decided to turn it into a rose garden, and I really do enjoy having roses in that one particular spot. Also on the north side of my house are a ton of heuchera. And I have really divided those over the years. And I'm glad I did because I have major plans this year to divide those heucheras even more and move them around towards the back of my yard where I'm lacking plants and flowers. And I think it would look so pretty back there. I love overwintering plants that are not hardy in my zone and filling containers and pots with plants that I've started from seed. One flower bed that I really love is on the south side of my house. We used to have 3 arbor vitae here that we really didn't enjoy. They weren't doing well. And I tell people if there's something in your yard you don't like, it's okay to pull it out. And instead we put a whole bunch of other annuals and perennials in that bed. And I'm glad we made that change. It looked so pretty last year, full of color, and I can't wait for it to fill up this year as well. Thank you, Janey, for touring my garden with me. And I have a YouTube channel where I love to show tips on how to garden on a budget, as well as just how to do general garden maintenance. So check it out if you can. Until next time, happy gardening.
Thank you so much, Vita, for sharing your beautiful garden with us. Not only is it gorgeous, but it was done on a budget, which I think is fabulous. And now you're even making money by selling beautiful plants to your community that I think are so great because it's grown in your environment. So those plants, when all your customers plant them in the ground, they're going to absolutely thrive. So I will link Vita's YouTube channel in the description down below, along with anybody else that has socials that shared with me. But what a great garden to start off Zone 5 with. It's just absolutely incredible, Vita. Good job. So next Zone 5 garden we're headed to is Kathy in Illinois. Now, Kathy is a container gardener. She likes gardening in containers because, of course, for those of you in Zone 5, your gardening season is a little bit shorter. So just making the most out of it with containers is what Kathy talked about. But the thing that I loved about Kathy's garden, I'm sure you all will see it and know exactly what I'm talking about, but the pathway in her backyard, oh, it's just gorgeous. Let's watch.
Hi Jamie, my name is Kathy. I'm in Zone 5B, some say 6. I'm about 15 miles west of Chicago. I like to make containers during gardening season. We have a short gardening season, so I like to make the most of it. I've been in this house for over 30 years, moved out for a while and had it renovated, and moved back in about 6 years ago, and have been really enjoying the garden since then. Before that, when I first moved in, it's a fairly good size lot, and it was weeds from the back of the house to the back of the yard. It's 211 yards deep, I guess, 80 by 211. Is it feet, yards, whatever? I'm not sure. But, yeah, it was kind of a hot mess. So when I first moved in, and of course I've done a lot of work on it since then. Just put this path in this year. I come out here every day because I have to chase the rabbits away. This I put in about 2 years ago, so some of this stuff is fairly new. I have my lavender is not doing so good. I think it gets overwatered with the sprinklers, but I have some hibiscus that are getting ready to bloom soon. Back here, I have a baptisia that the rabbits are eating every day. I planted some datura seeds, which are poisonous to rabbits, and of course they don't eat them. In the front we have a lot of betonies, and the bees are all over that, man. The pollinators love it. I had some red heucheras here, but it was too sunny for them, I think, so I put in some coleus until I can figure out what I want in there. I do have a rose back here, but it's caged because the rabbits ate it. And then if we turn this way, in the back I have like a fern garden mostly. It's just very green. I have some anemone back there. A lot of the lilies. I have the yellow and the orange daylilies back there. On the side I have this arborvitae hedge. I I have this is a river forest birch. This is the back of my house. Those are my oak leaf hydrangeas and my hostas. Hostas are one thing that does really good here. And I treat them for slugs. And I do spray for the rabbits, but I don't know how much good that actually does. I have some more hostas behind the garage back there. This I just put in this year because I redid the shed. So you have a little shade garden back here. I'm dealing with some powdery mildew on my hydrangea, but other than that, things are doing okay. It's my neighbor's garden, which is equally interesting. He's got this giant smoke bush. Oh my God, that thing's behemoth. And then in front of his smoke bush is my 7 sunflower, which I planted last year. My heptacodium. Love that thing. So I have this wraparound porch, which I have plants on. Plants all over. And then I have some seating up there. It's nice to sit out there and have a cocktail for happy hour. This is the front, which is a work in progress. I just put in some, for annual interest, cannas. That raspberry verbena is really pretty, giving it a nice pop. So those, I think those are Rockin' Playin' the Blues salvia. And then in the middle I have Ziggy. He's my whipcord arborvitae. I just love him. He's very cool. And then this is my dwarf Rosa Sharon that is just coming into bloom. Really pretty blooms. They're white with burgundy centers. And then I have a pink hydrangea down here. Some more verbena. That's my front door. I have all kinds of plants up on the porch. And this is my front yard. This was a beautiful, these were my mom's peonies. They were pink, they were gorgeous. Some gaillardia coming up over here. I have a lilac bush that is dying for reasons that I'm not aware of, but I'm going to pull that. And then this is the rest of my garden. This is actually the east side of my house. And I have mostly sedum because it's really hot here. This is full morning sun, some phlox, some lavender, sedum, some penstemon. These are Amsonia. I cut them down by 1/3 already, and they're this big still, huge. Beautiful blue spring bloomer. Some more phlox, which apparently I have a coral one, a pink one, and a white one somehow mushed together. That's penstemon. Those are asters in the back that I grew from seed, and I am like you. I am not a big seed grower. I'm not good at direct seeding. I epic failed at it this year, so I think I'm taking that off the list of things to do next year. And that's it. And then it takes you back into the backyard. Thanks, and your garden looks great. And Lara, you have things that I am jealous of because your zone is a lot hotter, but that's the way it always is. You always want the plants that you can't have. Take care.
Kathy, no kidding. Grass is always greener on the other side. I'm looking at your garden going, it looks so beautiful. So beautiful, so gorgeous. And I love that you've lived there for so many years and really made it your own. So thank you for sharing your Zone 5 garden with us. It's absolutely beautiful. So next Zone 5 video is still in Illinois. We're visiting Anne's garden. Anne lives in a small town about an hour and a half west of Chicago, and the town is called DeKalb, Illinois. And if that sounds familiar to any of you, it's because it is the headquarters of Proven Winners. So I've actually been to this town. It is a cute, beautiful little town. I've only been there in the late fall, winter time though. So it was fun to see Anne's garden in the spring/summer. Anne's garden is relatively new. She's only been there for about 2.5 years, but what she's done is absolutely gorgeous. So let's watch.
Hi, Jamie. I'm Anne. I garden in Zone 5B in Northern Illinois. We're just about an hour and a half west of Chicago. And my husband and I have lived in our home for about 2.5 years. We moved here in the fall of 2021, and in spring of 2022, we started gardening full tilt. We planted about 15 or 16 trees, a lot of evergreens that I will show you, and a couple of red bud trees, which are native to Illinois. And if I were to talk about my favorite plants of what works here in the Midwest, I would have to say hydrangeas and roses. Those are my key plants that I'm really obsessed with. I was always into hydrangeas, but in this home, I've been able to plant a number of paniculatas as well as big leaf hydrangeas. So, and in terms of roses, I've always loved roses because of my mom. She's always been a rose addict, and I always remember her roses when I was a little girl. So I've actually been successful after planting a number of heirloom roses and David Austin roses. So I thought I'd start at my front. We have I would like to say a New England style home, a little bit of a cottage garden, I think. At the front here, we face south, so I get full sun. This is my peony garden. I have 3 peonies here that were really beautiful this past May, and they are followed by daylilies. And my favorite climbing rose, unfortunately, is not in bloom right now. It just finished. Is called Kiss Me Kate, but I'll drop in a photo of that. This is my container at the front. It's in full bloom. It's made up of a number of different Proven Winners annuals. I love that Blue Bayou and the Snapdragon in the middle and the white and yellow trailers. So I have 2 of them. You'll probably figure out that my favorite color in the garden is blue and purple. These are my snapdragons that I planted from seed. You'll see a lot of those in the garden. So I'm a big fan of the no-till, no-dig method. And this bed here has 13 roses and nepeta bordering the front. And I just cut those back yesterday because they were getting a little brown, and I like to get a second flush. So I have several roses here. I won't go into too much detail, but there are a number of David Austin. There's 2 of the Olivia Rose Austin there in the back. And so I have a couple climbers here, New Dawn and Eden. So I'm hoping this is just their second year, first full year. I'm hoping that they will climb this year. So this was our big project this summer, and we are still going to put mulch down the center and horizontal pathways. And I have another iron arch that will be at the front right here. But you'll see the one in the back there. So this is still work in progress. We literally finished the beds and planted them out the night before our vacation. This is a new bed we just put in this spring with a red bud and some Veronica, Proven Winners lilacs over there, bloomerangs and a forsythia, and my new baptisia, which is also Proven Winners. My fruit trees are all covered with netting, and I did a video on that because we in Illinois were supposed to get a ton of cicadas, which funny enough, we haven't seen one, but we do have an issue with Japanese beetles. So I'm keeping those on for a little bit because Japanese beetles last year really ate up our cherry trees. This was our first raised bed that we planted last year. Show you the row of trees that we planted, everything from the red bud in the corner to Black Hills. I've got a weeping cypress there, a blue spruce, as well as another lilac tree there. And so yeah, we have 11 trees across the back. That row of little lime hydrangeas in the back there, we planted those in spring of 2022, so they're doing great. And I just planted 3 of these big leaf hydrangeas, more of the Let's Dance Skyview in the front here that really struggled, so I've cut those back significantly. So here are the Proven Winners annuals, and I also was able to successfully grow African daisies from seed, which I just direct sowed in here randomly. A container that I planted from seed, my pansies and snapdragons that just sort of got self-seeded in there. This is my work area where I harden off everything. And our strawberries, I've got delphiniums from seeds that I'm hardening off here. And we have a Meyer lemon tree here. And these are our twist and shout lace cap hydrangeas and an astilbe. And our shade garden with hostas. This gets morning sun and afternoon shade. Those are the endless summer hydrangeas. And this takes us to the front. Here's a view of the greenhouse. We just have the door and the top vents to install. These hydrangeas are bloom struck, and this one in the middle was replaced. That's why it's so much smaller. It didn't overwinter last year, so it's just a year old. So I have tried a number of things to try to get my hydrangeas to turn blue, and that's the closest I got. So I've been putting coffee grinds as well as soil acidifier, and can't say that it's working, unfortunately. I think clearly my soil is not acidic, it's alkaline. That's about it. This is my garden, and I really appreciate you considering me for a Zone 5B garden.
Thank you so much, Anne. It's so fun to see your garden in DeKalb and your trees. Yeah, I know they're young. I know you just planted them, but oh my gosh, they're going to be so beautiful when they grow up. You're going to be in like your own little space. It's going to be absolutely gorgeous. So huge thank you for sharing your garden with us, Anne. Okay, so we're heading to Iowa now. We're going to go see Joy's garden. Joy has some really great tips for those of you in Zone 5. So I definitely wanted to include this video, and her garden is just stunning. So let's watch.
Hello, Janie. This is Joy in the Garden, coming to you from Zone 5B in central Iowa. This is my garden that really started about 12 years ago. The hardscaping probably was put in about 12 years ago. And then the actual gardens throughout have been added, changed, edited many, many, many times. My number one tip is to grow and plant a garden that you can maintain this season and for many seasons to come. If you don't know if you can maintain it, make it smaller. Make sure you're planting what you feel you can maintain. Secondly, this is an oldie but a goodie, but repeat plants, including the variety. I have a lot of the same varieties. This is a hard one. This is a hard tip and lesson for anybody to learn. But once you figure out how much more beautiful the plantings and gardens are when you have repeated plants, you will do it over and over and over again. My third top tip is to take photos. Take photos of the good, the bad, the ugly. Don't just take photos of what's beautiful. Take it all, because in the wintertime, you want to go back and look at that garden and say, now, how could I make improvements there? What do I need to do to make improvements? My go-to plants, one is right here, corbels. I now have corbels everywhere. I really had bad luck with them at first, and I think the varieties have just absolutely improved, and they're better for heat and humidity than they used to be. Corbels would be one of my top. Also another top would be the Helen von Stein lamb's ear. You can see a lot of it right here. I have it in full sun. I have it in full shade. I have it in part sun. I have it in part shade. I have it everywhere. Goes just, it's beautiful. And the other plant that I consider to be one of my go-to plants is a hydrangea. So my favorites right now are probably Lametta, the smooth hydrangea, and Bobo. I have Bobo everywhere. It's just very, very reliable. Now, I think I could change my mind on which hydrangea I love from season to season. And lastly, a go-to plant would be allium, especially the Millennium allium. I have that also in sun, shade, and everywhere, and it does great. And this right here is my newest garden. This is less than a year old. I started this last fall. It was done using the no-till method. I planted probably like 6 or 7 plants that I got on sale last fall. The rest of it I added today, or in the spring. I had this kind of an oval, and I really turned it into more of a kidney bean. A lot of what I have here, I do have a lot of seed, the things that I grew from seed in here as well. It doesn't look like much yet, but I really think in a year or two, it's going to be beautiful. I have some hydrangeas there, weigelas, lots of foxglove, dahlias, lots of beautiful things in this garden. So thank you very much, Janey, for giving me the opportunity to show you my garden. This is my backyard. It is I love it. I feel very much at peace here. It is one of the greatest relaxation techniques that I have ever had in my life. Happy gardening.
Oh, that sunset at the end, Joy. How beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. Thank you for all your tips and tricks. You obviously are a well-seasoned gardener, and you've learned what works really well in your garden, and it absolutely shows. So thank you so much for sharing your Iowa garden with us. Okay, the last Zone 5 garden I have to show all of you in this video is Lynette's garden. She lives in New York, and holy cow, I cannot wait to show you what she has done with her beautiful garden. She says it used to be Zone 4, but just got switched to Zone 5. It's incredible.
Hello everybody, my name is Lynette and welcome to our garden. We are in Blossvale, New York, Zone 5, formerly Zone 4. Normally I would never start a garden tour in this part of my garden, but I thought being kindred spirits, you would appreciate my plant preparation station. It's clearance time, and we did some major shopping this weekend and bought some clearance plants. Now, not all of these are purchased. Some of them are plants that I've divided from my garden. Some I'm going to be giving away. Many of them are going to find homes in the garden. Because it's dry in July here, we use the pools. We keep about 1 inch of water in the bottom, and then every day we come in and water from the top. Keeps the plants nice and healthy, better than they do at the garden center. So get out and shop, because they're not going to be watering this time of year. Come on with me as we tour my backyard. 16 years ago, this was nothing but a hayfield. Everything here we planted the trees, we put the pavers in, we built the trellises, we dug the ponds. A lot of it is clearance pavers, clearance furniture, clearance fountain, clearance fence. So if you do some smart shopping and you have a plan, you can create the garden of your dreams. I am passionate about perennials. That's what I am trying to grow here. I want 3 seasons of interest with perennials. I'm going to share with you some of my successes and my failures and the challenges that we face here. So come along to my perennial garden. What can't I grow? I have a hard time growing black lace elderberry. Elderberry grow down at the stream, the beavers eat them, they're happy, everything. I can't get black lace elderberries to grow. Another thing that I struggle with is the Rose of Sharon. You can see sticks sticking up right behind the hollyhocks there. Every year my Rose of Sharon dies to the ground. I don't know why. Other people in the area can grow them, I can't. Speaking of clearance, we picked these up at a garden center several years ago for 50 bucks a piece. Great score there. What can I grow is Annabelle hydrangeas. Annabelles are wonderful. But to be honest, she's a little bit too happy here. We have sandy soil and she just runs. It started out as 3 plants. They just spread and keep multiplying. And we've gotten in here with the tractor to dig her out. In April, we put on Facebook, come get free Annabelle hydrangeas. But that's every year we're doing that. She's very, very happy. Another plant we can't grow really well in my garden are roses. And you can see there's a poor, pathetic one back here. They just don't thrive in my sandy soil. They just need more moisture than we can give them, and I just don't have the time to deal with that. Another plant that grows really well in my garden are daylilies. And if anybody's interested in daylilies, I would suggest you get with your Hampshire Society and learn about them. There are thousands of different varieties, and they are a wonderful bunch of people. A daylily gets its name because it only blooms for one day. So this blossom will be closed up tomorrow. It'll be shriveled up like those there. And then this one will open. So you get continuous bloom, but this flower does not last longer than one day. Another tip I'd like to share with you is how I keep the weeds from getting into my garden and how I prevent the grass from getting invaded by my garden plants, and that's by digging a trench. We use an edger every spring, go around and take that to make the first cut. Then I come back in with a flat to make a nice sharp edge there so that the grass can't creep in, and then I clean it up with this little trenching shovel. And we do that once a year, every spring. We do not supplemental water here unless it's something that's newly planted, and I don't like dragging a hose out, so I find that's a really convenient place to plop the hose down that the mower can't run over and destroy. In my garden, anything that grows where I don't want it to be is considered a weed. So even flowers, to prevent things from reseeding all over the place, I deadhead. So you take spent flowers off. This is full of seeds. This is potential pulling for me, and I don't have time for that. So that goes in the compost pile. Planting really thick is one way to prevent a lot of weeds from getting into your garden and germinating. However, we do have one, our nasty, our problem child, and it is horse nettle. This is a piece that we pulled out of the garden. And you can see this is covered with thorns. This is a nasty bugger found in many fields around here. And it has a fleshy root. It runs about 6 feet down and about 20 feet across, and it'll sprout all over. If you cut it, it comes back up. If anybody else is battling this and knows how to get rid of it, contact me. I'd love to hear from you. I also play a lot with texture in my garden, so I try and put a bold leaf next to a fine leaf texture. Try to add some grasses in here for an additional layer of texture. But the plant everybody always wants to see is right back here. My Scotch thistle. Everybody loves the Scotch thistle because it makes such a statement. It is an annual plant, so it grows this tall every single year, but you have to be very careful. You must deadhead it, otherwise it can take over. And it is the national flower of Scotland for a reason. It's because it kept invaders out because it is so prickly. So you don't want to get in here unless you are well covered. And when you're deadheading, you definitely should be wearing gloves, and you go in and you clip off that, and then you properly dispose of it so it does not reseed. Another tip that I have to prevent a lot of reseeding is that we use leaf mulch. We get about 3 truckloads of leaves every fall that we spread on the garden, and that helps to keep the weeds out. It helps maintain the soil's moisture. It also helps to improve my soil texture because I'm sandy. The earthworms do the work to get this going, and my soil has greatly improved over the past 16 years. All right, I thought I'd give you a special treat, a bird's eye view of the perennial garden, but since we don't have a drone, I had to climb the ladder to get up on the roof.
Your Annabelles, oh my God, like I can't even, it just doesn't comprehend. It doesn't click in my brain that your Annabelles grow so fast and so quickly that you have to have people come dig it up. Like it just doesn't compute, and it is so incredibly beautiful, and you are making me love daylilies again. And oh man, Lynette, you have got some skill. Now, I, again, can't comprehend not having drip irrigation and water to your plants, but that's what's just so incredibly interesting about these Show Me Your Garden videos, is that you can kind of see the difference, the struggles that she has versus the struggles that you might have in your own zone. It's just really, really neat to see. So huge thank you to Lynette and everybody else for sharing your Zone 5 garden with us. They are so beautiful. You all have put so much time and energy and love into your gardens, and it absolutely shows. So huge thank you. Stay tuned for, it should be tomorrow, Zone 4, Show Me Your Gardens. I hope you all enjoyed this, and I hope you all have a chance to get in your garden today.